Shalom, this is Rabbi Yonatan with this week's Parsha thought from Parshat Tzav. Tzav is the second Parsha in the book of Vayikra, Leviticus, matters which concern the Levites, also obviously within the Levites, the Kohanim, the priests, and in this case what I want to talk about for a moment is what the priests wore. In particular, one particular piece of the clothing that they were going to wear. And it says in chapter 6 of Tzav, V'lavash HaKohen mido vad, that the Kohen wore a linen robe. Now, this might not sound like such a big deal, except that the word for robe is mido. Mido vad. Usually, and Rashi also points this out, we would expect the word kutonet, right? A coat or a robe of many colors. We would expect this to be called kutonet, like the kutonet pasim of Joseph. But no, it is used the word mido. Now mido has many meanings. Midah, which is like a measurement. So like you actually have to, limdod, you have to measure clothing. Like if you go into the store and you're trying something on, you're actually sort of seeing if it measures to fit you. It also, we can understand midah is midot, or our personal attributes. Now the Mei Shiloach says something brilliant. It says the reason that kutonet is not used is for the very reason that it has to do something with a person's attributes. It says, what is this atoning for? Anyway, that we're talking about in this particular section, the Kohen is going in to atone for sins of anger, or sins of shfichut damim, of murder, or shedding blood. I guess it's not always murder. Sometimes it can be in war in other ways, but shfichut damim. And so, why is it called mido? It says because they're clean. They're supposed to tell the Kohen that only a clean garment can atone for the sin of anger or the sin of killing. So we can only really understand this in the following way. I believe this is how I understand it at least. The Kohen is reminded that it's only when you are clean of these particular sins, and in this case, we would almost say habits, right? Anger is nothing more than a habit. For an example, I don't know about shfichut damim, but shfichut damim of killing is actually something which is some very, very big expression of anger and not being able to control that fire and that anger about what is happening. And therefore, what the Mei Shiloach is telling us is that, reminds us that really what atones for the anger and other manifestations of it is becoming clean of it. A new practice where one sees it as being, first and foremost, about a bad attribute. It doesn't mean that anger doesn't come from a place of justice that can be channeled. It can, it should be, but bursts out of anger that end up in killing or in loss of reason. This is what we need to become cleaned from. In other words, that it doesn't happen anymore. Something to think about, midovad. This Shabbat, I will be speaking about seeing personal transformation, which includes character refinement as a basic component this Shabbat during our Yom Iyun. Hope that you will join us after services with a little bite to eat, a little nash for lunch. Shabbat Shalom.